Exclusive contract from Feilu Novel Network Novel. Zombies. Zhang Family Blood, 8 wonderful skills stunning 9 Uncle Jiu traveled through a zombie world and came from an orphan background. He was raised by Uncle Jiu from a young age, and his relationship with Uncle Jiu was also like a teacher and father. My true identity is the Zhang family bloodline, with a Qilin tattoo and a unique talent for cultivation. I was brought to Maoshan by Uncle Jiu to recognize my ancestors and become a true disciple of Maoshan. But as a result, he suffered from the son of the Thunderbolt King Shi Jian. Shi Shaojian was jealous and resentful, and took him to the land of ghosts, hoping to let him be slaughtered by evil spirits. However, Zhang Mo unexpectedly awakened his golden finger, used 8 extraordinary skills at the beginning, restrained his spirit and sent generals, and let Shi Shaojian suffer the consequences on his own. Having been pierced by a 1,000-year-old demon, even if Shi Jian arrives, he can only turn into a ghostly corpse. From then on, he forms a deep blood feud with the Thunderbolt King. The Corpse King pays homage, the wild chicken kneels down at the neck, reversing the principles of heaven. The unique gate after the wind determines the principle of restraining all things. Kill the immortals who have enslaved the Zhang family for thousands of years in the Meteorous Jade. The ultimate seal of Qi body source flow. Uncle 9. Shi Jian's hand-rubbing thunder technique, my disciple's hand-rubbing the 5 thunder gods. Did it flash kill? Master Zhang. Golden Qilin Blood. Please ask Mr. Zhang to come out of the mountain. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. The 8 Wonderful Techniques of Golden Fingers, Shi Shaojian. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the beautiful mountains and clear waters, the autumn wind blows, and curls of white smoke echo between the mountain streams. In the boardwalk between the valleys, countless Taoist temples and thatched cottages sit, and one can vaguely see many disciples wearing Taoist robes practicing and cultivating. Or wielding swords and swords, or yellow paper talismans, and even more so, walking lightly through steep mountains and forests like wisps of flat ground, appearing incredibly magical, like a fairyland on earth. Ordinary people are bound to be amazed and exclaim in disbelief upon seeing this scene, but it is not something that ordinary people can enter. Because this is one of the most famous Taoist sites in China. Maoshan. In front of the cliff, Zhang Mo sat on a stone bench, looking at everything in front of him with a slightly dazed expression. Here is. His gaze was mesmerized, and every time he scanned a spot, his suspicion grew even more, as if he didn't belong here at all. At this moment, a group of Maoshan disciples wearing green robes appeared on the cliff. After scanning around and seeing Zhang Mo, they seemed to have found their target and quickly walked over. Among them, there was a young man with a sinister and ambitious appearance. And he is now the disciple of Shi Jian, the senior brother of Maoshan, and also the object of flattery for countless Maoshan disciples, Shi Shaojian. Little brother, are you the disciple that Uncle Lin Fengjiao brought with him from childhood? My name is Shi Shaojian, a senior brother of the younger generation. You're new to Maoshan, why don't I take you for a stroll? Shi Shaojian, led by Wenwenhe, said. Everyone looked at Zhang Mo with a smile on their face, appearing very gentle. Those who were not clear would only feel that this group of people carried full goodwill. Little did they know that Shi Shaojian and his group of martial brothers seemed kind, but in reality they had ulterior motives. They had been harboring evil intentions long before they arrived, and everything in front of them was disguised. Looking at the group of people in front of him, after a long time, Zhang Mo's mesmerized eyes gradually brightened up. On his dull face, the corners of his mouth also curved slightly. The reason why Zhang Mo was lost in thought was because he had just passed through his soul and was very confused about everything in front of him and his current identity. He was digesting known information in his mind. At this moment, he understood everything. This world is a zombie world with both Taoism and evil. My true identity is an orphan adopted by Uncle Jiu since childhood, and I have been learning Taoism with him for over a decade. For Zhang Mo, his relationship with Uncle Jiu is both a teacher and a father, extremely intimate. And when he first learned Taoism, he showed extraordinary talent, far surpassing the other two disciples of Jiu, Maoshan and Wenkai. More importantly, carrying a Qilin tattoo on one's back, the blood contained in the body has a suppressive and deterrent effect on ordinary monsters and monsters. It is precisely because of his unique cultivation talent and the natural tattoo of auspicious beasts such as the Qilin that Uncle Jiu has a strong love for Zhang Mo. Now that he is about to reach adulthood, he didn't want to bury Zhang Mo's talent, so he set off from Yizhuang 2 days ago and arrived at Maoshan specifically to make Zhang Mo recognize his ancestors and become a true disciple of Maoshan. However, as soon as they arrived at Maoshan, they had not even seen the elder's face when they met a special person, who was the contemporary senior brother of Maoshan. Shi Jian. Uncle Jiu did not return to Maoshan for a long time. In order to deal with some trivial matters related to him within the sect, Uncle Jiu was taken away by Shi Jian. Zhang Mo, who has not yet officially become a disciple of Maoshan, naturally does not have the qualification to enter the inner gate openly, so he can only temporarily stay at the outer gate and wait for Uncle Jiu to return, which is why the scene just now happened. Looking at Shi Shaojian in front of him and the henchman behind him, Zhang Mo's smile became more and more playful. He knew very well that the group of people in front of him looked kind and gentle, but in fact, each one was more sinister than the others. Especially this Shi Shaojian, who was full of bad luck, was so bad that it was boundless. The entire disciples of Maoshan only knew that Shi Shaojian was the biological disciple of his senior brother Shi Jian, but Zhang Mo knew that these two were not just a simple master-disciple relationship, but also a father-son. It is no wonder that Shi Shaojian considers himself the leader of the younger generation, with the strongest contemporary senior brother of Maoshan as his biological father. His personality is vengeful and extremely arrogant. Zhang Mo's reputation had already spread to the entire Maoshan area before he even reached it. Nowadays, all the disciples of Maoshan, including the elders, are very interested in Uncle Jiu bringing him to recognize his ancestors and return to their ancestral home. They want to see if this talented and intelligent young man with auspicious beast tattoos on his back is as talented as rumored. Among them is Shi Shaojian, but he was not interested in Zhang Mo, but felt threatened. As the young leader of Maoshan, how could Zhang Mo easily conceal his brilliance? In the past, he used to be considered outside, but now he dares to come to his own territory. Regardless of whether he is a real genius or a fake genius, I must let him know who is the senior brother of Maoshan, and first dampen his morale. So after Shi Jian took away Uncle Jiu, he seized the opportunity and directly led many henchmen to find Zhang Mo, intending to give him a boost as a newcomer. What he didn't know was that everything he disguised had already been seen through by Zhang Mo. For the group of people in front of him, Zhang Mo can be said to have a deep understanding, almost more familiar than his father Shi Jian. He didn't believe that Shi Shaojian could be so kind, but he didn't worry about him playing any tricks or schemes, because he traveled through time and not only became a disciple of the ninth uncle, but also had essential items for travelers. Golden Finger. As a time traveler, how could it be possible to not have one or two cheats? Zhang Mo is no exception. His golden finger. It is the 8 extraordinary skills cultivation method that exists in the mind when consciousness awakens. Qi body source and flow, binding spirit to send generals, Tong Tian Lu, Feng Ho Chimen, Shuang Quanshou, Shen level by Lian, Lu Ku Xian thief, De Luo Dong Guan. Although there are 8 unique skills in his mind, they are only a method of cultivation. At this moment, Zhang Mo is still unable to use them. To unleash the power of the 8 unique skills, one after another cultivation and comprehension are needed. Zhang Mo is not worried about this at all, because besides his golden fingers, he also knows that within his body, there is the blood of the Zhang family. And the purity of their bloodline may not be surpassed by anyone else in the entire Zhang family, which makes the Qilin tattoos on their bodies lifelike and vivid. The uniqueness of the Zhang family bloodline goes without saying. Apart from its suppressive effect on evil, it is also because of this bloodline that Zhang Mo's cultivation ability is unparalleled. So he is not worried at all about how long it will take to master the 8 wonder skills. As long as he practices a little, it won't be long before he can smoothly comprehend the 8 wonder skills and master them one by one. As soon as Zhang Mo thought of being able to simultaneously use 8 powerful and diverse skills, he felt inexplicable excitement in his heart. He naturally noticed the ill intentions of Shi Shaojian and others, but did not expose their disguise because he wanted to see what tricks these guys wanted to play. Anyway, Uncle Jiu hasn't finished his work yet, so I'm also idle here. Why don't I just play with them? Thinking of this, Zhang Mo smiled and said, "Alright, senior brother Shi, since you can take me to appreciate the scenery of Maoshan, thank you very much." Seeing that Zhang Mo did not refuse and readily agreed, Shi Shaojian's heart was instantly filled with joy, and a subtle hint of malice appeared at the corner of his mouth. As expected, he is a novice boy who doesn't understand the dangers of the martial arts world. He just pretends and gains trust. Let's see how I can kill you. Since that's the case, let's make a big fool of yourself in front of all the Maoshan brothers. In this way not only can this kid lose face in Maoshan, but he can also completely solidify his position as the leader among the younger generation of disciples in Maoshan. It's not easy to use any genius here. Shi Shaojian suppressed his inner excitement and continued to show a gentle smile. Since it's not too late, junior brother Zhang Mo, let's take a stroll together, he said. Okay. Without any hesitation, Zhang Mo stood up and followed Shi Shaojian's footsteps, admiring the scenery of Maoshan along the way. At the same time, this also made Shi Shaojian, who was leading the way ahead, and a group of henchmen secretly laugh in their hearts. This kid is still admiring the scenery. Do you really think he was brought here for a stroll? When he cries later, little did they know that Zhang Mo seemed ordinary at this moment, but as he walked around, his mind began to crazily cultivate and comprehend the cultivation methods of 8 unique skills. Quickly, with the blessing of the Zhang family's bloodline, Zhang Mo became more proficient in mastering the 8 extraordinary skills with astonishing talent, gradually gaining a different understanding. Chapter 2. The Zhang family's bloodline shows its initial power, a century-old fierce ghost. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Led by Shi Shaojian, the group walked along the rugged road of Maoshan. On the surface, Shi Shaojian kept chatting and laughing, as if explaining the construction of the outer gate of Maoshan to Zhang Mo, but in reality, a group of lackeys were walking back and forth in groups of 3 or 2. Such behavior, as if afraid that Zhang Mo might run away, blocked all his escape routes. Zhang Mo was well aware of this, but he sneered without showing any signs. He occasionally responded to Shi Shaojian, as if he was truly amazed by the various facilities and buildings in Maoshan. In his mind, he is also crazily practicing, trying to master the 8 wonderful skills as quickly as possible. Both sides are calculating with each other, but on the surface, they maintain a hypocritical harmony. If outsiders see them, they may think they are a group of friendly senior brothers explaining various aspects of Maoshan to the new disciples. Soon, the group finally arrived at their destination after walking half of the outer gate cliff of Maoshan. Shi Shaojian smiled and said, "Junior brother Zhang Mo, this is a good place for me to practice outside of Maoshan. Ordinary disciples from other sects rarely know about it. If it weren't for my guidance, I'm afraid you wouldn't be able to find it at all. We've been walking for so long, why don't we take a break here for now?" Zhang Mo didn't react to the words, but in his heart he was laughing wildly. Do people like Shi Shaojian really think he's a 3-year-old child? This place indeed has a beautiful scenery. If ordinary people without Taoist priests come here, they may not see any abnormalities. But I have been following Uncle Jiu all year round. Although I haven't officially practiced yet, I still know a little bit. Because of the Zhang family's bloodline, I am extremely sensitive to the evil aura. This place has a cold breath and a strong yin energy. It is definitely a place of great ferocity. In the land of Maoshan, a Taoist school, there can be such a rich realm of yin energy. If it weren't for disciples practicing evil arts here all year round, it would be a place to suppress demons and monsters. A good place to fart. Shi Shaojian was indeed malicious from the beginning. Zhang Mo was clear in his heart, but he didn't poke it. He wanted to see what tricks Shi Shaojian and his group wanted to play, and even nodded with a smile. It's indeed a beautiful place with clear mountains and clear waters. Thank you very much, senior brother. Then listen to senior brother's advice and take a break. Shi Shaojian smiled. This kid has been tricked and has come here. Why don't you kill him? Zhang Mo's guess is correct. This territory is specifically used by Maoshan to suppress ghosts and monsters, and it is sealed with countless evil spirits captured by external disciples from various places. It is almost impossible for ordinary disciples to come to places like this. Despite being a place of suppression like this, Maoshan has many, and the ghosts and monsters suppressed by the outer gate are far lower in cultivation compared to the inner gate. But Shi Shaojian deliberately chose a place with the most ghosts and monsters to suppress through an external gate, which is deadly for someone like Zhang Mo who has not even entered a human teacher yet. It can be seen from this that Shi Shaojian's malicious intentions did not even consider Zhang Mo's life quickly. As everyone sat on the ground, Shi Shaojian continued to chat with Zhang Mo about trivial matters in Maoshan while giving a glance to the younger brother beside him. The little brother suddenly understood the meaning, and after a wicked smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, he slowly stood up and left seemingly casually, heading towards the ceiling array that suppressed ghosts and monsters. It seems that Zhang Mo did not notice all of this, which made Shi Shaojian and his group proud, but in fact, he had already seen it, but it was just not announced. He knew that Shi Shaojian's conspiracy had begun, and the cultivation of the 8 wonderful skills in his mind had also begun to accelerate crazily. I don't know how long it has been, time slowly passes by, with a loud bang coming out. Boom boom. This voice directly caught everyone's attention, and the disciple who had left before was full of panic and rushed towards this side. Following closely behind was a strong and visible yin qi, and the surrounding air quickly began to decline. Even ordinary people without any spiritual activity could clearly perceive it. The richness of its yin energy has made this bright sky even turn gray in a small area. Countless monsters that had been suppressed for a long time began to rush out quickly, and for a moment, a dark wind arose, with ghosts crying and wolves howling, and the surroundings were filled with terror. Not to mention ordinary people, I'm afraid that most disciples of Maoshan would see this scene and their faces would turn pale with fear, their legs trembling. These ghosts and monsters may not have high cultivation levels, only a dozen to several decades of cultivation, but their strength lies in their large number, which is over 100. If it weren't for the peak cultivation level of a human teacher, they would not be enough to deal with. But such cultivation can barely be considered as a disciple of Maoshan inner sect. How could it be so easily achieved? Even a group of henchmen were frightened when they saw this scene, and their faces immediately changed. If they hadn't discussed the plan in advance, they were afraid that a loud scream would have caused them to panic and flee on the spot. There was an uncontrollable joy on Shi Shaojian's face. Without a doubt, the plan was successful, and the seal of suppressing evil spirits was successfully destroyed. As disciples of Maoshan, myself and others have prepared a defense against ghosts and monsters in advance, without any concern. As long as we persist until the elders or inner disciples arrive, the scene will come to an end. As for Zhang Mo, he broke the seal by touching it himself and died in the mouth of a fierce ghost. No one can blame him, can he? I'm afraid even Uncle Jiu can't blame himself. After all, so many people say that Zhang Mo broke the seal himself. Can he still suspect himself? With the passage of time, the place of suppression was completely destroyed, and countless demons and monsters broke through the seals. Due to Shi Shaojian's advance arrangement, a restriction barrier was set up here. All evil spirits can only move within a radius of 100 meters, which makes this world shrouded in countless yin energies. Low-level evil spirits have low spiritual intelligence and only have simple thoughts of bloodthirsty killing. Coupled with being sealed for countless years, their resentment and bloodthirsty desire have already reached their peak, and they can be said to kill whoever they see. Zhang Mo and Shi Shaojian, who appeared here, naturally became their only targets of attack. They felt the breath of flesh and blood from strangers, and endless evil spirits showed their fangs and rushed forward crazily, feeling the terrifying atmosphere of today. A group of dog legs trembled with fear. Even as disciples of Maoshan, they have already entered the realm of human teacher, but it is impossible for them to deal with so many fierce ghosts. Get close to me quickly. Shi Shaojian felt both excitement and a hint of fear in his heart. He took out the prepared talismans and pasted them in front of his group, directly isolating his breath. In his view, Zhang Mo is the only one unprepared in this world, and hundreds of fierce ghosts will inevitably kill him alone. Even if he is no genius and has not practiced Taoism, how can he resist it? He, my dear junior brother, feel the gift that senior brother gave you well. Now, Shi Shaojian simply stopped pretending and his face was filled with a sinister smile. However, the next moment, the current scene surprised him greatly. Faced with endless fierce ghosts, Zhang Mo showed no reaction and stood quietly in place. Even though many demons and monsters were filled with resentment and terrifying murderous aura, they dared not approach him at all. All spontaneously avoided, not daring to approach, as if they couldn't see Zhang Mo. Even if it kept spinning within this 100-meter space, it didn't go towards Zhang Mo. How could this be? Shi Shaojian was dumbfounded. Did he also have the means to prepare in advance to isolate his own breath, so that these fierce ghosts wouldn't feel it? As soon as this idea appeared, it was immediately rejected by Shi Shaojian. As a disciple of Maoshan, he was extremely familiar with these Taoist methods. At a glance, he knew that Zhang Mo did not have the aura of talismans and formations. Chapter 3. Seize the spirit and send generals. Shi Shaojian eats the evil fruit on his own. You are listening at novelfull.audio. His qi and blood were so thick that there was no hint of concealment. Even as a human, he could easily detect it. How could the fierce ghosts, who were extremely sensitive to the breath of strangers, not notice it? Moreover, these fierce ghosts have been starving for years, even decades, and even crave for flesh and blood to the extreme. How could they not feel the presence of this stranger Zhang Mo? But why don't they attack him? Shi Shaojian's mind was shattered and he couldn't figure it out, along with the group of lackeys behind him, who were all staring at him and completely clueless about the situation in front of him. Damn it, this kid is more evil than I imagined, but it's okay, I'm still prepared. A sneer appeared on Shi Shaojian's face, and he immediately picked up the strange magic technique with both hands. What he used was the method of defeating ghosts in Maoshan, but if it were seen by inner disciples or elders, it would definitely be troublesome. Although the method of slaying ghosts is a Maoshan Taoist method, it was strictly prohibited from being used for cultivation hundreds of years ago due to its high level of malice, and is considered an evil method. At this moment, including the henchmen behind him, they were all stunned when they saw the hairpin that Shi Shaojian was pinching. Obviously, they didn't expect him to dare to practice the forbidden technique. If it were normal, Shi Shaojian would not have used these methods in front of outsiders. Now that he only has the idea of killing Zhang Mo in his heart, he can't control so much. As he continued to pinch the magic formula, the sky was filled with howls from fierce ghosts, as if they were truly under his slave control. Done, go, kill him. Shi Shaojian's eyes were filled with a strong ruthlessness, and he was bound to eliminate Zhang Mo, who threatened his position as a young senior brother, on the spot. However, even though countless fierce ghosts have been controlled and held hostage by Shi Shaojian, they still dare not approach Zhang Mo. Every time they approached him within a 3-meter radius, they all screamed and frantically tried to break free from control, willing to endure the backlash of the ghost's law and not daring to take any further steps. It seemed that just getting close to him would mean losing one's soul. No matter how hard Shi Shaojian tried to control it, none of the hundreds of fierce ghosts felt killing towards Zhang Mo at this moment. The hearts of Shi Shaojian and his group were extremely shaken, as if seeing a ghost. At the same time, in his heart, his fear of Zhang Mo directly rose to the extreme. As a disciple of Maoshan for more than 10 years, he had never seen such a strange thing before. Although he has no cultivation and has not even entered the human teacher stage, he can make hundreds of fierce ghosts dare not approach him at all. It is rumored that Zhang Mo has a Qilin tattoo on his back, and his blood has a warding effect on ordinary demons and monsters. At this moment, Shi Shaojian understood that the fact is even more terrifying than the rumors. This is not about warding off evil spirits. It's simply absolute suppression, more effective than low-level talismans and spells. After witnessing Zhang Mo's terror, Shi Shaojian's eyes turned red and his killing intent completely shattered his rationality. I originally intended to make you disabled and just let you be a waste, but now it seems you must die. Shi Shaojian decided to completely tear open the seal of this place of suppression and smash the last suppression. In an instant, a terrifying yin qi that was thousands of times more terrifying than before roared out, directly forming a black smoke. A fierce ghost that has been practicing Taoism for hundreds of years has appeared. Such terrifying and fierce ghosts are impossible to deal with even at the peak of a human teacher. Only the inner disciples who have entered the earth teacher have the means to hover with them. The appearance of such evil forces is a disaster for the outside world. Shi Shaojian has gone completely crazy to kill Zhang Mo at the moment of seeing the appearance of the century-old ghost. Shi Shaojian's eyes were red and his face was already covered in a frenzy. This contrasted sharply with the fear on the faces of the group behind him. Even though they were Shi Shaojian's lackeys, seeing him completely tear open the seal was shocking to the extreme. They couldn't believe that in order to kill Zhang Mo, he had destroyed the entire suppression area and released this evil spirit. This is completely different from what was originally agreed upon, which was just using ordinary ghosts to teach Zhang Mo a lesson. A fierce ghost who has been practicing Taoism for hundreds of years is no longer something that external disciples can deal with. If one is not handled properly and even endangers the entire Maoshan external gate, let the elders know, and this group of people cannot afford to leave. Even if Shi Shaojian is the personal disciple of senior brother, he cannot escape punishment. Isn't this too much fun? However, they were not clear that Shi Shaojian was determined to kill Zhang Mo. If Zhang Mo, a person with extraordinary talent, were to enter Maoshan, given time, his position would definitely not be guaranteed. In order to prevent this situation, the malicious Shi Shaojian no longer wants to depose Zhang Mo, but wants to completely eliminate him and let his genius disappear from this world. In order to kill him, what if we release a fierce ghost that has been around for hundreds of years? If it weren't for this already being the strongest fierce ghost here, a ghost king who has been practicing Taoism for 1,000 years would dare to release it directly. With his own father as the senior brother of Maoshan, who dares to punish him? Shi Shaojian laughed arrogantly, without hiding his inner cunning, and directly mocked Zhang Mo. Zhang Mo, what can you do with carrying a Qilin tattoo on your back? As a gifted demon, what if your blood can dispel evil spirits? I don't believe that even if you're not a master, you can still deal with a 100-year-old ghost. Die. The entire Maoshan, only I am the leader of the younger generation. Don't try to threaten my position, ha ha ha. However, facing Shi Shaojian behind him, Zhang Mo standing in front remained expressionless, as if he was not affected by what he said, and even at the moment he looked at him, a meaningful sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth, with a deeper and more obvious mockery in it. Su Ling sent the general, which made Shi Shaojian suddenly stunned. He thought to himself, this kid is on the brink of death, but he can still laugh. Is it possible that he was scared and foolish? But he didn't think much. The fact was right in front of him. He didn't believe that Zhang Mo, an ordinary person, could compete with a century-old ghost that only a master could deal with. Unless he is a reincarnated immortal, he will die here today no matter what. A fierce ghost who has been practicing Taoism for hundreds of years, Shi Shaojian really gave me a huge surprise. Zhang Mo turned his head and looked at the fierce and terrifying ghost in front of him, muttering to himself. A level of evil like this, even if one's Zhang family bloodline has the effect of suppressing evil, is already ineffective. Unless one's cultivation reaches a certain level, it can continue to affect stronger evil. But Zhang Mo's eyes not only showed no fear, but also a hint of excitement. Just because of the continuous cultivation along the way, relying on my incredible talent, my cultivation of the 8 wonder skills has become more and more complete. Even just now, with the potential squeezed during a crisis, after a brainstorming, I finally successfully mastered one of the 8 wonder skills: Detain the Spirit and Send the General. Among the 8 unique skills, the one that suppresses the fierce ghost the most is undoubtedly this unique skill. As the name suggests, restraining the spirit and sending generals is the ability to manipulate the soul for one's own use. They have a natural and absolute suppression of soul like monsters and evil forces, making them unconditionally submit to oneself. This is more terrifying than any ghost-slaying method. If the gift Shi Shaojian had prepared for himself was a zombie or something, perhaps the effect of the spirit-binding dispatch would not be too great, but unfortunately he chose a fierce ghost, who, as a soul-type evil, happened to hit the muzzle of the gun. Just now, Zhang Mo has mastered the power of the 8 extraordinary skills, and he can't wait to give it a try. Up, kill him for me. Shi Shaojian roared angrily. Under the influence of the ghost-slaying technique, the century-old Li Gui Zhan revealed his own ferocity, and his body erupted with terrifying yin qi before killing Zhang Mo. The fierce ghosts who have been practicing Taoism for hundreds of years have little effect on being intimidated by the Zhang family's bloodline, and their performance is completely different from the hundreds of fierce ghosts before. After being suppressed for countless years, the resentment and bloodthirsty desire had already broken through the sky, and without hesitation, Zhang Yawu rushed forward. Faced with the attack of a fierce ghost, Zhang Mo still did not dodge, but directly used the spirit of detention to send a general. In an instant, his eyes were filled with a ray of light, like a spiritual effect, and a unique aura began to emerge as he pinched the spell: Seize the spirit and send the general. Seize. As this sentence was taken out of his mouth, the fierce ghost, who had already rushed halfway, suddenly froze, with a fierce and stiff face. Invisible forces began to influence it, and a fear similar to the hundreds of fierce ghosts before appeared. Chapter 4. Uncle Jiu's Arrival, Seeking Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After all, Zhang Mo has just mastered the power of the spirit of detention and has been practicing the spirit of righteousness for hundreds of years, and he cannot easily control it. At this moment, at most, he feels an inexplicable threat and begins to independently resist the power of the spirit of detention and its dispatch. Shi Shaojian was deeply shocked upon seeing this. As a disciple of Maoshan, he couldn't see through what the spell Zhang Mo had just pinched was. Surprisingly, even the fierce ghosts who have been practicing for hundreds of years can affect you. How could this be possible? However, how can it compare to the method of defeating ghosts? Today, I will definitely kill you. Shi Shaojian once again pinched the magic formula and used the power of the ghost-slaying technique to the extreme. Ghost-slaying technique, listen to my command and kill me. At this moment, driven by the method of using ghosts to fight, the fierce ghost, who had already resisted, broke free from the control of the spirit-bound commander and once again killed Zhang Mo. Damn it, is it so difficult to control? Zhang Mo frowned and without hesitation, bit through his finger, throwing out a stream of his own fingertip essence blood, which sprayed directly on Li Gui's body. The Zhang family bloodline has a natural ability to suppress evil spirits, greatly dispelling their aura and suppressing them. Although one's current cultivation level cannot directly suppress this century-old fierce ghost, restraint is still feasible. Zhang Mo once again used the restraint spirit to send a general, and with the cooperation of his own blood, the effect reached its best. Come on. At this moment, the fierce ghost once again showed deep fear, constantly circling in place, attempting to resist the power of the spirit-binding envoy. But as Zhang Mo erupted into a full-body momentum again, with a loud roar, "Come on now! Roar!" The fierce ghost let out a huge roar, as if in great pain. Not only was yin qi overflowing all over his body, but he dared not approach it at all. Even fear and respect appeared in his eyes, which were originally only filled with desire to kill. Undoubtedly, at this moment, Zhang Mo has already controlled and even reflected the power of the restrained spirit-sending generals, which has further intimidated hundreds of evil spirits around him who are not very skilled in Taoism to ashes. In this land of suppression, only this century-old fierce ghost, the highest Taoist, remains feeling that the fierce ghost had been manipulated by himself. Zhang Mo's tense expression also relaxed slightly. To be honest, the situation just now was quite dangerous, but fortunately, it was finally successful. Go, kill everyone present except me. Zhang Mo is not the Holy Mother either. Even if he orders to the fierce ghost in his heart, since Shi Shaojian and his group want to kill him, I cannot let them go. I must treat him in his own way. At the same time, a group of people nearby, Shi Shaojian, were watching the play with a playful expression on their faces. In their eyes, facing such a terrifying ghost, Zhang Mo must die. Especially Shi Shaojian, a smile couldn't stop appearing at the corner of his mouth, as if he had already seen Zhang Mo's death. Even with his seemingly insignificant Taoist skills, no matter how talented he is, he cannot deal with the fierce ghost that even the Earth Master struggles with. No matter how talented he is, he still has to be played to death by himself. Maoshan is his own territory, and no one can threaten his position. However, in the next scene, he saw with his own eyes the fierce ghost who had been complaining to the sky before, suddenly stopping in place, feeling as if he had settled down. As for the hundreds of low-level evil spirits hovering around in the sky, after roaring in waves, they exploded and died, becoming flying ash and disappearing into the sky and earth. Hey! Shi Shaojian and the group of henchmen behind him were completely dumbfounded, all staring big and small. What's going on? At this moment, a lackey pulled at the corner of Shi Shaojian's clothes and spoke in a trembling voice. Sure. Senior brother, how do I feel that the state of that century-old fierce ghost is not quite right? Are you sure you have controlled him? Upon hearing this, Shi Shaojian immediately sneered, I'm using forbidden magic, of course that fierce ghost. But he hadn't finished speaking yet, but as he looked ahead, he was dumbfounded because under his control, the fierce ghost not only did not kill Zhang Mo, but also charged straight towards him with open teeth and claws. The terrifying yin qi, the terrifying appearance of choosing people to devour, clearly intends to kill oneself and others. How could this be possible? Shi Shaojian was extremely shocked in his heart, and he directly put out the spell of the ghost-slaying technique, constantly trying to control the centennial demon. However, no matter how much he controlled it, the demon remained unresponsive. This finally made Shi Shaojian completely give up the idea of controlling him, and instead hurriedly took out countless talismans from his pocket, trying to resist the fierce ghost. Countless Zhang talismans were thrown out by him regardless of the situation, causing some damage to the century-old ghost and causing its footsteps to come to a slight halt. This made Zhang Mo not far away. He is truly the biological son of senior brother Maoshan. His cultivation hasn't improved much, but there are many good things. Even among the disciples of Maoshan, there are so many talismans that are considered wealthy. The key is that there are also some high-level talismans that are rare among inner disciples. It seems that Shi Jian usually gives him good things. The century-old ghost, who was hit by countless talismans, also realized that Shi Shaojian was not easy to deal with. As an instinct to seek good luck and avoid evil, it temporarily gave up the idea of killing Shi Shaojian first and turned to killing others first. Wait until everyone is resolved before killing Shi Shaojian. The most difficult prey. That group of dog legs were already scared and foolish at the beginning, either kneeling on the ground with a pale face, or turning their heads and running like crazy. But no matter how they run, they cannot run away from the fierce ghosts who have been practicing Taoism for hundreds of years. With a few mournful screams, all these lackeys have been killed by the century-old ghost one by one, and in the pupils of their deaths, only deep fear and regret remain. They hate it. Why did they follow Shi Shaojian here? If they don't come, wouldn't there be such an ending? But there is no regret medicine in the world, and their fate is only to be cruelly killed by a century-old ghost, resulting in a death without a whole body. As for Shi Shaojian, seeing this scene, he was already frightened and collapsed on the ground, with a face full of fear and despair. He didn't understand why he used the method of defeating ghosts and successfully controlled this century-old fierce ghost at the beginning, but suddenly lost control. Why on earth is this? Shi Shaojian couldn't understand even if he wanted to break his head. This century-old fierce ghost had already been manipulated by Zhang Mo, and he wouldn't even know the magic of the spirit-binding envoy nowadays. He had already used up all the talismans from the beginning and had no means at all. Although he had stayed here as a disciple of Maoshan for so many years, he was usually ignorant and relied on his identity as Shi Jian to show off his strength. There is one thing that all the henchmen do, and the cultivation of Taoist techniques is never at home. Apart from talismans, there is no other means to deal with the fierce ghost. After killing all the henchmen, the century-old ghost slowly turned around. When the grim face with blue faces and fang teeth looked at him, Shi Shaojian's pupils shrank violently, and a huge despair and fear enveloped his heart. At the same time, hundreds of meters away, two figures were rushing towards them, and they were Jiu and Shi Jian who had left before. Chapter 5. Shi Jian is furious and will definitely kill Zhang Mo. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Uncle Jiu and Shi Jian rushed frantically towards the place of suppression. Their faces were different, one full of playfulness, and the other with a solemn expression to the extreme. As early as they finished their tasks and came out of the inner door to reach the boundary where Zhang Mo was initially waiting, they noticed the presence of a strong yin energy not far away. Both of them are old Taoists, and their cultivation is not bad in Maoshan. Naturally, they can detect such a strong yin energy at a glance. It must be that the seal of the place where ghosts are suppressed has been removed, and the century-old fierce ghost has emerged. Without any hesitation, he hurriedly rushed towards this side. Shi Jian didn't have much worry in his heart. As the saying goes, like a father, like a son. He had long realized that Shi Shaojian couldn't stand Zhang Mo's arrival, and as a master and biological father, he naturally didn't like Uncle Nine and Zhang Mo. So he could roughly infer that the removal of the seal of the ghost town was mostly a masterpiece of his own son, with the aim of giving Zhang Mo a lesson when he first arrived. But he was not worried about the safety of Shi Shaojian at all. After all, he didn't give him too much good things in his daily life. Although it wasn't enough for him to kill that fierce ghost, there was no problem saving his life in the crowd. As long as he could hold on until he arrived, there was nothing to be afraid of. When the time comes, seal off the ghost town again, and as soon as my son saves me, the elder will find any excuse and pass by the pond. As for whether Zhang Mo is alive or dead, it's completely unrelated to his own business. Uncle Jiu was very nervous inside. Although Zhang Mo had a unique talent and carried a Qilin tattoo on his back, his blood had a dispelling effect on ordinary evil spirits, but it was only limited to ordinary evil spirits. Although the suppression area of this external sect is sealed with some evil spirits captured by external disciples, and the cultivation level is not too high, there is a century-old fierce ghost in it. Such a terrifying ghost has become a climate, even a slightly weaker cultivator is difficult to deal with. How could Zhang Mo possibly handle it? Uncle Jiu can only pray in his heart, Zhang Mo must not have anything wrong. Quickly, when they arrived at their destination, Shi Jian and Jiu were dumbfounded, and their facial expressions were even more polarized, as exciting as they were. I saw Yin Qi swirling in front of me, and a terrifying ghost with a blue face and fangs stood in place. In his hands, Shi Shaojian was hanging in mid-air, opening his chest and piercing his stomach. His whole body was covered in blood, and he felt extremely miserable. Qianhe. Shi Jian's face turned pale and he defecated, as if he had been struck by lightning. He couldn't believe that his son had been harmed by a fierce ghost to this extent. I thought it was Zhang Mo, the disciple of Uncle Jiu, who was killed by a fierce ghost, but to my surprise, it was my own son who fell for the trick at this moment. Shi Jian couldn't help but regret it. If he had been faster when he was on his way just now, he might have arrived before the fierce ghost started. In the end, he was still one step late. Uncle Jiu also had a bewildered expression on his face. He didn't expect this scene to be like this. Surprisingly, Shi Shaojian was killed by a fierce ghost. Good guy, I was worried about my emotions for nothing just now. On the other hand, Zhang Mo, who was not far away, had already retracted the detention spirit and sent the general. At this moment, he had no connection with the century-old ghost, making it difficult to see any clues. Outsiders would only think that it was a fierce ghost who launched a rampage and killed Shi Shaojian, while Zhang Mo, a person with no cultivation, was lucky enough to be the next. No one would suspect that Li Gui was manipulated by him to inflict this poison on Shi Shaojian. After a huge shock, there was an indescribable anger. Shi Jian went completely crazy and unleashed all his strength, showcasing his famous skill on the spot. Lightning Thunder Fist. Originally, with Shi Jian's cultivation, it was enough to kill any of these century-old evil spirits with just one Taoist technique. However, Shi Shaojian's tragic situation deeply hurt him, and subconsciously, all his strength erupted. Not to mention that Shi Jian can become a senior brother. Although he has a narrow mind and a malicious personality, he does have enough strength to sit in this position. In addition, Lightning Thunder Fist is an extremely difficult lightning technique in Maoshan Taoism, and every move contains terrifying power. In an instant, countless lightning bolts converged in his hands, and under the chaotic dance of the thunder snake, countless trees and the ground around him were cut black. Evil, take your life. Shi Jian shouted loudly and burst out. The fist containing terrifying thunder and lightning hit the fierce ghost on the spot, leaving it with no chance of resistance and flying to ashes. Qianhe. Shi Jian held his eyes wide open in his arms, and his mouth was filled with blood. Out of breath, Shi Shaojian's face was filled with pain and regret. His gaze turned to the only survivor present, Zhang Mo. His gaze was full of malice, deeper and more intense than the original Shi Shaojian's. Immediately after, Shi Jian didn't say a word, and he quickly left holding the pitiful-looking Shi Shaojian, disappearing into the dense forest of Maoshan in the blink of an eye. At the same time, Uncle Jiu, who had been silent all along, walked over with a complex expression on his face. Zhang Mo, what happened here just now? Why were you with Shi Shaojian, and why did you break this seal and release this century-old ghost? Upon hearing this, Zhang Mo quickly pretended to be innocent and said, Master, I don't know. It was senior brother Shi who wanted to take me to admire the scenery of Maoshan. When I arrived here, suddenly this fierce ghost appeared. I haven't done anything throughout the journey, I have to say, it's really scary. Upon hearing this, Uncle Jiu's face became complex and he wanted to say something more, but he let out a sigh and didn't say anything. Having wandered in the martial arts world for so many years, coupled with such a good understanding of Shi Jian and his disciples, he knows to some extent about his personality and also understands the dangers of human nature. Just looking at this scene, I understand 7, 8. Zhang Mo arrived at Maoshan for the first time, and it was impossible for him to know exactly where the suppression was. It was only Shi Shaojian who led the way that he found this place. Although my disciple has not yet practiced, his natural appearance and intelligence have already earned him a reputation. Shi Shaojian also claims to be a leader of the younger generation. It is believed that Zhang Mo's arrival has stimulated him and he wants to teach him a lesson. That's why the scene before him happened, although it's unclear why Shi Shaojian was so crazy that he dared to release the century-old ghost, and why he was cut open by the ghost. Everything is not important anymore. The cultivator's human nature is malicious, and sooner or later something will happen. Everything now can be considered as a result of his own self-harm. It's just Shi Shaojian's identity, but his senior brother Shi Jian is the most beloved disciple. Just like himself and Zhang Mo, he followed him from a young age and was adopted as his own disciple. Otherwise, his name would not be so similar. Uncle Jiu's face was full of bitterness, and he couldn't help but sigh. With his elder martial brother's character of always reporting faults, even though this matter has nothing to do with his disciple, as long as anyone present has him, they will inevitably face his anger and difficulties. I'm afraid my master and disciple's upcoming trip to Maoshan won't be very peaceful. At the same time, within the Shijian cave on the other side. The surroundings were extremely dark, and even the ground was adorned with countless strange talismans and sinister objects. If you were not familiar with this as the cave of senior brother Maoshan, you might have thought it was the place where some evil cultivator was staying. In the middle, with his stomach cut open, his appearance extremely miserable, Shi Shaojian, who was already hanging in one breath, was lying in the middle. Shi Jian, dressed in a Taoist robe, sat in the back, looking at his son's miserable state with a face that was extremely gloomy. As Uncle Jiu guessed, the person he hates the most in his heart at this moment is Zhang Mo. He doesn't understand why the century-old ghost broke through the seal, so why didn't he go kill Zhang Mo and instead kill Shi Shaojian? If Zhang Mo had died first, then his own son would not have been brutally killed and turned into the ghost like he is now. No matter what the reason is, Zhang Mo deserves to die. Shi Jian blamed all the mistakes on Zhang Mo, and his heart was already filled with hatred. With a resentful expression on his face, Shi Jian gritted his teeth and said, "Damn it, as long as you stay in Maoshan for a day, you won't feel better. I will definitely kill you and avenge Qianhe." Chapter 6. Integration of Qi body source and flow, entering the 7th stage of human teacher. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Shi Shaojian's appearance at this moment can be said to be extremely tragic. His whole body is completely wrapped in blood, his intestines and internal organs are in a mess, and there is no good meat on his whole body. If it weren't for Shi Jian using magic to hang his last breath, he would have already belched. At this moment, Shi Jian's face was extremely gloomy, and looking at Shi Shaojian's miserable appearance, his heart was filled with huge resentment and unnamed anger. Outsiders only know that Shi Shaojian was adopted by him from a young age and adopted as his own disciple, but no one knows. He is his only bloodline and his biological son. How else can we treat him so well? But now, his only biological son has ended up in such a land, which has made Shi Jian's heart extremely angry. Damn Zhang Mo, if it weren't for you, how could my son have gone to that ghost town, and how could he have risked releasing that century-old ghost? If you don't go to Maoshan, there won't be anything else to follow. The root of everything lies in you, and you even dream of becoming a disciple of Maoshan. As long as I'm here, I can't do it. Your life will eventually fall into the hands of our father and son. I want you to pay for my son's life. At this time, Shi Jian had already learned about everything from Shi Shaojian's mouth, and naturally knew the ins and outs of everything. Even though Shi Shaojian had ulterior motives throughout the matter and wanted to use the fierce ghost to teach Zhang Mo a lesson, Shi Jian not only did not blame Shi Shaojian, but also felt that all of this was Zhang Mo's fault. If it weren't for his arrival, would his son have done such a thing? So everything is his fault. It's no wonder that a father like Shi Jian, who knows right from wrong and has a cruel heart, has a malicious nature and is extremely cunning nowadays. Shi Shaojian has long been half killed by a century-old ghost. If it weren't for Shi Jian's timely intervention, he would have been a corpse at this moment. Even if the Luo Jin immortal Dao had come, he would not have been able to save him. Shi Jian is also very aware of this. After bringing back his son, he has tried dozens of methods of Taoism, but still cannot improve his condition. By half helpless, he could only resort to unconventional methods to refine Shi Shaojian into a zombie-like existence, which barely saved his life. At this moment, Shi Shaojian, just like in a movie, has transformed into a person without a ghost. Nowadays, he can no longer be called a human, but rather a mischievous person. However, his yin energy was covered up by Shi Jian's Taoist techniques, so from the appearance, he appears to be no different from ordinary people. But only Shi Jian was very clear that although he had spared no effort to save his son's life, his half-human and half-ghost state also meant that his future was ruined from now on. Not only can one no longer practice Taoism, but it is also impossible to pass on the lineage like ordinary people. They must also stay in seclusion and regularly use their techniques to cover up any potential yin qi that may appear on their body, avoiding being noticed by outsiders. This made Shi Jian suffer to the extreme in his heart, while also hating Zhang Mo. As the senior brother of Maoshan, even if my son has a slightly weaker talent for the path of cultivation, he can still firmly hold the position of Maoshan elder in the future with his own skills. Even the advanced Taoist techniques that ordinary disciples cannot access can be freely observed, and his path has already been paved. However, Zhang Mo's arrival shattered all of this. His own son, not only practiced Taoist techniques, but also couldn't even touch some pure Taoist techniques and simple talismans. It has been completely scrapped at the same time. Shi Shaojian, who woke up, also hated Zhang Mo deeply after learning about his current physical condition. What he is afraid of is not the inability to practice Taoism, but the inability to engage in sexual activities like a normal person, which is a fatal blow to himself. The root of everything comes from Zhang Mo. As soon as Shi Shaojian thought about everything that happened that day, he felt that Zhang Mo was extremely wicked, and his hatred grew stronger and stronger in his heart. "Father, it's all Mo's fault that I have become like this now. You have to make decisions for the child and seek revenge for him." When the two were alone, Shi Shaojian no longer concealed himself and directly referred to him as his father. He looked extremely aggrieved, as if he was really Zhang Mo's fault for becoming like this. "I don't know, but I thought the seal of the ghost town broke and it was Zhang Mo who caused the ghost." Shi Jian reached out and touched Shi Shaojian, his eyes flickering with malice in the distance. "My son, don't worry, I will definitely make Zhang Mo pay back the pain you have suffered now, and make him suffer 1,000 times more than you," he said. Listening to Shi Jian's words, Shi Shaojian's face also showed a similar malice and madness, as if seeing the near future. Zhang Mo looked like he couldn't survive or die in his own hands. Quickly, time slowly passed, and in the blink of an eye, several days had passed. The revenge of Shi Jian's father and son did indeed come soon. That is, since Uncle Jiu brought Zhang Mo back to Maoshan, the top management of Maoshan has not agreed to let Zhang Mo officially become a disciple of Maoshan, let alone have no intention of letting Zhang Mo learn Maoshan Taoism. Just leave him aside like this, without even a hint of certainty about this matter. As a result, Uncle Jiu was extremely anxious and went to visit the ordinary Maoshan elder several times, only to be perfunctorily treated and sometimes even unable to see the elder's face. It's not so difficult for an ordinary disciple to become a disciple of Maoshan, let alone being introduced by himself as a Maoshan disciple. You don't have to think too much to know that it must have been Shi Jian who caused trouble. As a senior brother, his position is there, and both his strength and qualifications can be considered as the next generation successor of Maoshan. In order to hone his business skills, the senior management of Maoshan delegated power early on, allowing him to replace the head elder and handle many miscellaneous tasks of Maoshan before he truly took charge. There are many things that do not need to be reported to the sect elder at all, and are all decided by him alone. Among them, there are outsiders who want to learn from Maoshan and become disciples of Maoshan. It can be said that whether Zhang Mo can become a Maoshan disciple is up to Shi Jian alone, the final say. If he is serious about Zhang Mo, let alone a few days, it will be difficult even if another year passes. Uncle Jiu paced back and forth in the room, feeling extremely anxious. "I knew that Shi Shaojian was injured by a fierce ghost. Even if this matter has nothing to do with you, senior brother will definitely not let you go so easily. After all these years, his temperament is still like this." Sigh. Listening to Uncle Jiu's words, Zhang Mo's face on the side was strange. To be honest, the incident of Shi Shaojian being injured by a fierce ghost was really related to himself. However, this is also because Shi Shaojian is at the forefront of harming others. If it weren't for his ulterior motives to use the ghost-suppressing land to harm himself, how could he end up in that field? And Zhang Mo is not very anxious about whether he can quickly learn from Maoshan and learn Maoshan Taoism. After all, Maoshan Taoism cannot learn law, and I still need 8 unique skills to study. Even if I have different talents, I can study these 8 divine powers for an unknown amount of time. What's more, the 8 magic skills are the 8 extreme essence of extreme cultivation. Each of them has an unimaginable magic. If you can fully understand them, you will be invincible even if you don't learn other Taoism. In this world, there has never been anyone who can gather 8 extraordinary skills together. Watching Uncle Jiu so anxious, Zhang Mo's heart also warmed. He knew that this was because Uncle Jiu cared so much for him. Traveling through this foreign world, it would be a kind of happiness to have someone who cared so much for him. Master, you don't need to be in such a hurry. I think the elders of Maoshan have their own considerations. It's already so late, so go rest quickly. Upon hearing this, Uncle Jiu sighed and looked at the pitch-black night, feeling that he couldn't disturb his disciples' rest. Even as he opened the door and prepared to leave. Just as he left, his mouth was still talking about something. No, I have to go find the elders tomorrow. If it's really not possible, I can only have a showdown with Master Brother and ask him what he really wants to do. Quickly, Uncle Jiu disappeared into the darkness, and Zhang Mo was also reading and researching the 8 wonders in his mind. These days, he has been staying in Maoshan and not doing nothing. In addition to mastering the level of restraining spirit and dispatching generals, he also mastered another 8 extraordinary skills, the source and flow of qi and body. The origin and flow of qi body is known as the end of art. Unlike other 8 wonderful techniques, it does not have direct attacks or strange means. However, it can cultivate an independent qi body in the lower Dan field using special methods. It is rumored to have very magical effects, but of course, everything needs to be explored by Zhang Mo himself. In the past few days, Zhang Mo's qi body has been the fundamental source, and he has started to warm up a stream of qi in the dantian. He was surprised to find that qi matches his own Zhang family bloodline very well. The combination of the two resulted in a chemical reaction where 1 + 1 was greater than 2, which had a promoting effect on each other, and the effect skyrocketed. The Zhang family's bloodline has been enhanced due to the existence of the qi body source, which not only deepens the deterrent effect on evil, but also increases one's cultivation speed. Even the Qilin tattoo art behind it has become more vivid and dynamic than before. As for the source and flow of qi, it is also the rapid progress of the Zhang family's bloodline. In just a few days, he mastered Shaocheng, and the qi in the dantian was already the size of a marble, extremely magical. Feeling the changes in himself under the influence of the qi body source and the Zhang family bloodline, Zhang Mo was also very excited in his heart. It was truly an 8 wonders skill, and the effect was indeed overwhelming. I haven't officially entered the cultivation stage yet, and the impact of physical changes alone may be equivalent to the 4 or 5 levels of an ordinary human teacher. Speaking of which, it's time for me to officially step into cultivation, right? Zhang Mo was also very curious about cultivation in his heart, so he took out an ancient and rustic book from his bag, on which the 5 major characters of Maoshan basic method were prominently written. This was given to him by Uncle Jiu before he arrived at Maoshan. Although each Maoshan disciple has one basic method, they must be a Maoshan disciple in order to practice it. If they are not Maoshan disciples, they cannot possess it. The reason why Uncle Jiu gave Zhang Mo before was because he felt that with his disciple's talent, he could enter the Maoshan stable exercise victory scroll, so he directly gave him the basic method to save time and go and collect it later. Unexpectedly, such a moth has emerged, making it a question whether one can learn from Maoshan now. Zhang Mo is too lazy to care about these things. It doesn't matter whether he can officially become a disciple of Maoshan. At this moment, he just wants to cultivate as soon as possible, see if his Zhang family bloodline can continue to transform after cultivation, and whether the 8 wonderful skills can play a greater role. Immediately, he immersed all his focus in the basic techniques of Maoshan and began to cultivate with Zhang Mo's terrifying talent. He showed amazing results during his first cultivation. With the combination of Zhang's blood and qi source, he absorbed spiritual energy like a whale swallowing seawater. Quickly, one night passed, and at dawn, Zhang Mo slowly opened his eyes. In his eyes, there was a hint of excitement, because during his first cultivation, he had already reached the 7th level of being a teacher. Chapter 7. Breakthrough Again, Master Earth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. With the coordination of qi source and flow, Zhang Mo's speed of absorbing spiritual energy continuously skyrocketed his own realm. And because of his first cultivation, he entered an extremely selfless state, with no distractions in his heart, constantly absorbing spiritual energy. It was unknown how long it had been like this, and with a crisp sound coming out, Zhang Mo felt incredibly comfortable all over. He had already experienced this feeling several times during this cultivation. Slowly open your eyes, the sky has turned white. Is the human teacher 7-fold? Feeling the change in himself, Zhang Mo's face couldn't help but show a hint of joy. He had only been practicing for the first time and was able to achieve such remarkable results in just one night. He knew that this was not due to his natural talent, but also the complementary effect of the qi body source and the Zhang family bloodline. If you let others know that you have reached the 7th level of the human teacher all night, I'm afraid your big teeth will be startled and you'll exclaim that it's impossible. You should know that the path of cultivation can be divided into human teacher, earth teacher, and celestial teacher. Each realm can be further divided into 10 levels, with increasing strength and difficulty in cultivation. Almost all external disciples are in the realm of human masters, and their goal is to become earth masters and enter the inner realm. To reach the realm of a earth master, one not only needs perseverance, but also talent. There are very few people who can reach this realm, such as Jiu and Shi Shaojian, who have only reached the peak of the earth master after so many years of cultivation. As for the heavenly master, it is even more difficult. In any force, he is a top-notch powerhouse. Even in Maoshan, there are few elders and leaders who have reached this cultivation level, not to mention the earth master and the heavenly master. Even the most basic human masters have troubled the disciples of Maoshan for decades, and even those with good talents will have to wait for at least 1 or 2 years. How could someone like Zhang Mo do the 7-fold in one night? If they knew about this, they might all have to spit out old blood one by one. What kind of cultivation is this? People are more popular than people. Its deadly Zhang Mo's cultivation was also quite active. After a night of cultivation, it was like swallowing a whale, causing the spiritual energy of the outer gate of Maoshan to become scarce to the naked eye. This naturally attracted some elders of the outer gate, and even Jiu to notice. However, after investigating for a long time, no abnormalities were found, and there was no sign of any breakthrough. While everyone noticed the strangeness, they only felt that it was after reaching the 7th level of human teacher, Zhang Mo had a clearer understanding of his own changes and the perception of qi in the Dantian area. The Qilin tattoo became more prominent, lifelike, as if he was about to leap out. He was even more surprised to find that after breaking through the realm, his Zhang family bloodline seemed to become stronger, making his cultivation speed faster. This discovery can be said to be surprising. As we all know, cultivation becomes more and more difficult, and the higher the level, the more difficult it is to break through. Even if the cultivation talent is so high, the early stage will be like a bamboo pole, and the later stage will be difficult. But the higher one's realm, the faster their cultivation speed becomes. Under such circumstances, even if cultivation becomes more difficult, their speed will not slow down much. Zhang Mo had a clear perception of the changes in qi. After breaking through the realm, the qi nurtured by the qi source flow in the Dantian not only strengthened itself, but also had an all-round effect. Raising all of one's own numerical values, whether it is strength, speed, Taoist techniques, cultivation, or talent, has greatly improved, and this change is far superior to Maoshan Taoist techniques. Feeling the changes in himself, Zhang Mo couldn't help but exclaim, "The source and flow of qi and body are truly 8 extraordinary skills, they are indeed strong enough." He was extremely excited. Even if he couldn't enter Maoshan to learn Maoshan Taoism, what would happen? As long as he can give himself enough time to master all 8 extraordinary skills, he believes that his strength will definitely surpass the Heavenly Master, become the strongest person in Maoshan, and even the strongest person in the whole world. The golden finger is the top, it's invincible. With a joyful mood, Zhang Mo showed a completely different mindset from Uncle Jiu in the following days. One was anxious every day, thinking about how to get his beloved disciple into Maoshan, while the other was completely indifferent, staying in the room without leaving, digesting the 8 wonders in his mind. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. During these 3 days, Zhang Mo had basically finished studying the 8 wonders in his mind, and had nothing else to do. With his astonishing talent, he also roughly mastered all 8 extraordinary skills. Of course, despite Zhang Mo's high talent, he also understands the principle that too much can't be chewed, and one person's energy cannot simultaneously balance multiple spells. So after roughly mastering the 8 unique techniques, he stopped comprehending and instead specialized in studying the source and flow of qi and body. He plans to fully integrate the source and flow of qi, and after achieving great success, he will master other 8 unique skills. The reason why he chose the source and flow of qi first is because it is the most suitable for his current self. After all, the source and flow of qi body can not only lay a sufficient foundation for oneself, but also exert a 1+1 greater than 2 effect with the Zhang family bloodline, improving cultivation speed. It is definitely the most suitable technique at present. So, in the next few days, Zhang Mo continued to study the source and flow of qi, feeling its mysteries and practicing. Finally, with the passage of time, Zhang Mo's power also quietly changed and continued to climb. There were 8 levels of human teacher, 9 levels of human teacher, and 10 levels of human teacher, until he broke through the ground teacher. Boom boom. On a quiet night, under several washes and baptisms, Zhang Mo's 10-fold realm finally appeared cracks, and he was about to break through. Countless spiritual energy began to gather, and at this moment, the huge change made the entire outer gate of Maoshan aware. Due to Zhang Mo's strong talent, with the unique combination of qi and Zhang family bloodline, his breakthrough process is extremely different from that of ordinary people, directly causing countless anomalies. Even in the pitch-black night, golden lights burst out from above the sky, feeling like immortals are about to descend, full of a magical feeling, dazzling to the extreme and resembling a sun at night. This huge change naturally attracted countless attention, but any external disciples, elders, and even those within the internal sect who saw this scene were all dumbfounded. They have never seen such a situation before. How could such a strange golden light come to this world? Could it be that some immortal god has appeared? No one thinks about the illusion of the sky that someone has broken through. After all, they have never heard of anyone breaking through that would bring about an illusion, and it is such a unique and grand illusion. Not to mention the human teacher breaking through the earth teacher, even breaking through the celestial teacher does not have such a situation. After the elders of Maoshan were stunned, they immediately ordered their inner and outer disciples to search within all Maoshan areas and see if any exotic treasures had appeared. Because only this situation can explain why such a phenomenon occurs at night. The disciples of Maoshan were all extremely excited about this and began to search frantically, including Shi Shaojian. He searched the craziest, and as long as he obtained this exotic treasure, his cultivation would surely skyrocket again. This night's Maoshan is destined to not be peaceful. However, Zhang Mo was unaware of the external situation and remained immersed in the breakthrough. Even if he successfully arrived at the first level of the earth teacher, he closed his eyes tightly and slowly regained his breath. After all, he doesn't want outsiders to notice that he has broken through the realm of the earth master so quickly. He must mask this aura. He still understands the truth that a man is innocent and blames others. Even if he wants to shock everyone, it's not the time now. Feeling the surging power of himself, Zhang Mo's face showed a satisfied smile. The Qilin tattoo has become even more prominent, and now it has come to life completely, as if it really needs to jump out at any time. The qi formed by the qi source is also more rounded and massive, and the effect brought by one's own blood vessels is also stronger. I have become a master of the earth, and now my master of the earth is even stronger than an ordinary master of the earth. I really don't know, how strong would it be if I had completely mastered the 8 wonderful skills and broken through the Earth Master's realm. As Zhang Mo imagined the future, outside, the disciples of Maoshan were still frantically searching the mountains under the leadership of Shi Shaojian, trying to find the exotic treasure that triggered the golden light illusion in the sky. But as Zhang Mo's breakthrough came to an end, the illusion that had previously enveloped the entire Maoshan suddenly disappeared, and the disciples of Maoshan still couldn't find any source after searching for an unknown amount of time. This matter, even several years later, remains a mystery that cannot be dispelled in the hearts of all disciples. Chapter 8. Qianhe returns, showing off with Shi Jian directly. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the following time, besides staying in the room to practice, Zhang Mo plans to take a stroll around Maoshan. After all, one's own realm has reached the level of a master, so there is no need to be too persistent in cultivation. Instead, it is better to become familiar with Maoshan. I have been in Maoshan for so many days now, and except for the first day when I was deceived by Shi Shaojian to the ghost town, I have no knowledge about everything here. After all, this is also my own school, so I have to go and explore it to some extent. So, Zhang Mo immediately wandered around Maoshan. Although he had not yet formally apprenticed to Maoshan, he had a relationship with Uncle Jiu and no one stopped him. It was not a problem for him to wander outside. Just as Zhang Maoshan was admiring the scenery of Maoshan and marveling at it, he coincidentally met an acquaintance who was Shi Shaojian. When they saw each other, both of them were stunned, obviously not expecting to meet so occasionally. Shi Shaojian remained as he had encountered him for the first time, dressed in a blue shirt, holding a folding fan, and looking like a graceful young master. Behind him was a group of lackeys who were highly praised for his identity. However, this group of lackeys is not the first one to appear. After all, that group has already hiccuped. Oh, the injury healed so quickly. It's only been a few days since we last saw each other. It seems like your master's methods are good. Zhang Mo said with a smile on his face. Upon hearing this, Shi Shaojian's hands trembled with anger. He naturally knew that it was Zhang Mo who was in yin and yang. After all, his original self was cut open by a century-old fierce ghost, and he almost died in one breath. Now the two of them have completely torn apart their faces, and there is no need to pretend to each other like they did when they first met. Naturally, they can say whatever they want. Zhang Mo, don't be complacent. I will repay the humiliation of that day 100 times in the future. Shi Shaojian gritted his teeth, as if squeezing out from his throat, his tone filled with unwillingness and anger. Zhang Mo smiled and said, "What did senior brother Shi say? The humiliation of that day. What does the fierce ghost break through the seal have to do with me? Senior brother, you saw it with your own eyes, but I stood still. Maybe it was the little brother behind you who messed with the ghost that day. You can ask them. No, they seem to have all died. Senior brother, you don't have a place to ask." Listening to Zhang Mo's words, Shi Shaojian's anger instantly surged in his heart. Thinking of that incident, he was torn apart like a knife. Although the seal of the place of suppression was indeed torn by himself, he was very certain. The final 100-year-old ghost lost control and must be related to the kid in front of him. This kid is really too evil. Not only does he make countless low-level ghosts and monsters dare not approach, but he also ignores the 100-year-old ghost directly and turns to kill himself. Such an evil thing, not to mention seeing it myself, is simply unheard of. In the end, this matter is ultimately related to Zhang Mo. Although Shi Shaojian was trembling with anger and his face had turned pale, he forcefully suppressed his inner anger after some hesitation. According to his original temper, if someone dared to speak to him like this in Maoshan, he would have already called on a group of henchmen to fight against him. It's not enough not to know his parents if they don't fight against him. But now he is no longer a normal human. Shi Shaojian clearly remembers his advice to him. Under the cover of Taoism, if he acted normally, perhaps no one could notice the clues. But if you use a spell, even if it is too intense, it is very likely to release corpse chi. This is very dangerous in Maoshan, which is all about practicing Taoism. If the elders in Maoshan notice it, the consequences will be unimaginable. Even Shi Jian, as the senior brother, cannot protect him. So, afraid of exposing his current state, Shi Jian could only resist the urge to take action, while a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. In fact, he and Shi Jian had already figured out how to deal with Zhang Mo. In order to plan for the future, it was not impossible to endure it anymore. After all, if the plan succeeded, he would suffer thousands of times more than he did now. He would torture him severely. Thinking of this, Shi Shaojian turned to say a few harsh words. Humph, Zhang Mo, wait. It won't be long before you regret it. After speaking, he left with his group of dog legs. Zhang Mo looked at the back of Shi Shaojian and others, stroking his chin and muttering to himself, being made so by a fierce ghost can bring life and vitality. Is it difficult for Shaojian, like the original work, to be trained into a half-human, half-corpse evil creature by his father? With their father-son personalities, they probably have already figured out how to deal with me, right? I just don't know what level of strength I reached at that time. It's interesting. The next day, Zhang Mo was still sleeping in the room when Uncle Jiu kicked open the door and pulled it up. Zhang Mo's face was filled with resentment, not because he was sleeping in, but because it was still dark and the chickens hadn't even started crowing. Why wake up so early? Master, why are you pulling me up before dawn? Which ninth uncle didn't care about the gruesome Zhang Mo at all, but excitedly pulled in a person from outside the door. He saw him dressed in a Taoist robe. Despite his emaciated figure, he showed all his righteousness and had a feeling of being a master of the demon eliminating and defending Tao. Good disciple, I would like to introduce you to someone. This is the Qianhe that I often mentioned to you before. When I was studying Taoism in Maoshan, I had the best relationship with my fellow disciples. Hurry up, call senior uncle. Upon hearing these words, Zhang Mo couldn't help but be surprised and carefully examined the Qianhe Taoist in front of him. This is the rumored Qianhe Dao Chang, who only plays high-end games in his lifetime. He really looks like he has two brushes. Speaking of which, Taoist Qianhe is indeed very strong. However, he always encounters his teammates who are cunning. If there are one or two disciples who are more capable, their combat power is probably not inferior to that of Uncle Jiu. Master! Zhang Mo shouted. Upon hearing this, Qianhe also looked at Zhang Mo with a smile on his face and said, I have long heard that senior brother's disciples have extraordinary talents. He is a rare genius, and now it seems like this. Zhang Mo clasped his head and said awkwardly, Master, you're joking. Qianhe laughed heartily and said, I'm not joking. If it weren't for senior brother taking you in long ago, I'm afraid I couldn't help but take you as a disciple. As soon as these words were spoken, Zhang Mo became even more embarrassed and could only keep giggling foolishly. At this moment, Uncle Jiu spoke up and said, You have to thank Uncle Qianhe a lot. This time, he came all the way back to Maoshan from afar specifically for you. Zhang Morton looked puzzled and rushed back to Maoshan specifically for himself. Uncle Jiu didn't say much. Compared to Qianhe Simu, the two of them were already clear in their hearts, and all the plans were self-evident. Nowadays, the leader of Maoshan has long passed away, and most of the elders are not in charge. Therefore, the master brother Shi Jian can be considered as the actual controller of Maoshan, replacing the elders in handling various affairs of Maoshan. Among the many disciples of Maoshan, Shi Jian can be said to be the true one who holds great power, but even so, he is not just covering the sky with one hand. Some things are not something he can do as he wants, and he still needs to consider others. After so many days, Uncle Jiu finally saw through it thoroughly. Because of the fact that Shi Shaojian was harmed by a fierce ghost, Shi Jian deliberately blocked his obedient disciple and prevented him from entering Maoshan to become an orthodox disciple. No matter how much I negotiate with him, he will keep evading him one by one for various reasons. If this continues, I'm afraid that whether Zhang Mo can become a disciple of Maoshan will be dragged on by him for a year without a chance. It seems that for the future of Zhang Mo and also for the future of my own lineage, I must take some special measures. If one's own rights are not enough, what if we add another person? Uncle Jiu is at least the second son of Maoshan, and coupled with Qianhe, a disciple who is also highly respected and has already become famous, the two of them put pressure on Shi Jian together. Even if he is the senior brother, he cannot turn a blind eye. So in order for Zhang Mo to quickly join Maoshan and learn Maoshan Taoism, a few days ago, Uncle Jiu wrote a letter to Qianhe, who was thousands of miles away. When they first studied Taoism in Maoshan, their relationship was the best. Now that they learned that Jiu needed help, Qianhe didn't hesitate and rushed towards Maoshan as quickly as possible. After so many years, senior brother's personality is still the same as when he first met him. Whenever he encountered something, he would hold it in his heart. Sigh. Speaking of Shi Jian, even Qianhe, who had always been upright, couldn't help but shake his head. At this moment, Zhang Mo also knew that Qianhe's arrival was to help him enter Maoshan. He didn't expect his master to put in so much effort for this matter. Even Qianhe's senior uncle was summoned back and immediately spoke up. Master, can I actually join Maoshan as soon as possible? There's no need to be so anxious, right? Even if you don't join Maoshan. It doesn't matter. Zhang Mo is speaking the truth. Although he is also very interested in Maoshan Taoism, if joining requires such a lot of effort, there is really no need to engage in a battle of wits and courage with Shi Jian. After all, there are 8 unique skills in my mind. I have eaten them thoroughly and are invincible in the world, so I don't need to learn any other spells at all. Unexpectedly, as soon as these words were spoken, Uncle Jiu's face immediately changed and he resolutely said to Zhang Mo, "This statement is not accurate. You are my disciple and should have been admitted to Maoshan to become a true Maoshan disciple. Moreover, if you do not join Maoshan, where will you go to learn orthodox Taoism? Isn't this a waste of your talent? Moreover, this matter is not only related to your future, but also to the dignity of being a teacher." Chapter 9. Conditions for becoming a disciple of Maoshan, eliminating. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Uncle Jiu's face was very heavy. There were many disciples from Maoshan, but they were also divided into many factions. His own lineage was originally considered one of the strongest. But in recent years, he has been crushed to death by his master brother Shi Jian, showing signs of gradual decline. If there are no more strong disciples in his lineage, he is afraid that he will fall into a low point in a few years. Although Uncle Jiu is naturally kind and dislikes fighting, he is at least a disciple of Maoshan and has inherited the legacy of his ancestor. How can he not think of revitalizing his own lineage? Although his talent was good, he was unable to fully learn the top-notch techniques of his own lineage. Instead, he was crushed to death by the Shi Jian lineage, who had learned the lightning and thunder fist. This has always been a regret in Uncle Jiu's heart. But this regret gradually disappeared from the moment Zhang Mo appeared and showed his talent. As an apprentice, he was naturally auspicious, carrying auspicious animal tattoos such as the Qilin, which had the effect of suppressing evil and was simply a natural material for cultivation. Moreover, he has extraordinary talents. If he joins Maoshan to learn Taoism, he will surely make rapid progress over time, revitalize his own lineage, and regain glory. This is one of the main reasons why Uncle Jiu insisted on letting Zhang Mo enter Maoshan, not only for the future of his obedient disciple, but also for the future of his own lineage. All right, it's not too late. Let's go find our senior brother now and get him a definite letter. Qianhe nodded and said, let's go, senior brother. Uncle Jiu grabbed Zhang Mo and said, you kid, come with me too. The three of them headed straight towards the inner door and soon arrived at the peak where Shi Jian was located. In a courtyard, they saw Shi Jian. As soon as we met, Uncle Jiu didn't hide anything and directly explained the purpose of this trip. Senior brother, I have been with my disciple to Maoshan for about 10 days now. How long will it take to officially join Maoshan? Should you give me a definite message? Ordinary disciples can only join Maoshan for a few days at most, but as a disciple, I don't even have a proper procedure to follow. Just hanging out like this all the time may be too bullying for our master and disciples, right? If you can't be the master, I really have to report to the elders and let them decide. Although Qianhe stood on the side without speaking, his upright posture indicated that he was on the same line as Joshu. Shi Jian frowned when he saw 1,000 cranes beside Uncle Jiu. He knew that Uncle Jiu had come for real this time, and he could no longer evade him like before. If he and Qianhe were really allowed to cause trouble in front of the elders together, I'm afraid the plan he had secretly made before would fall through. However, Qianhe was not unprepared for the arrival of Uncle Jiu and immediately changed his smile. Where is what senior brother Fengjiao said? As the eldest senior brother, how can we call it bullying your disciples? How could I possibly do such a thing? It's all because as the senior brother, I took over many miscellaneous tasks in Maoshan on behalf of the elders. I was too busy, so it delayed. Why be so panicked? I have already thought about the conditions for Zhang Mo to join Maoshan a few days ago, but I haven't had a chance to explain them to you in detail yet. Looking at Shi Jianpi's smiling expression, of course Uncle Jiu didn't believe him. Not to mention Uncle Jiu, even Qianhe didn't believe much. They didn't know much about their senior brother's personality. He does represent the elders in handling Maoshan affairs, but many things are entrusted to the external elders to handle. He only needs to make decisions on some major events. How could he be too busy to delay Zhang Mo's entry into Maoshan? But now that he has let go, it is the biggest progress, better than the one who has been fooling around and avoiding talking before. Senior brother, what conditions do I need to join Maoshan as an apprentice? It is basically normal for disciples to have the necessary conditions to join Maoshan, and neither Joshu nor Qianhe was surprised. After all, Maoshan doesn't just want to join, it's just about going to the village at the foot of the mountain to deal with some trivial tasks, such as catching ghosts and eliminating demons, which are basically non-mainstream tasks that can be solved just by entering a human teacher. As long as it is not too excessive, it is acceptable, and it is allowed for a disciple to have his master or friends help when completing tasks. After all, disciples who have not yet joined Maoshan have not even entered the human teacher stage. Even in the face of some non-mainstream evil forces, there is inevitably unexpected danger, but which Shi Jian's next sentence directly angered Uncle Jiu and Qianhe. Because there has been a significant increase in the number of disciples in Maoshan in recent years, the difficulty of tasks has also increased, and during this period, he cannot ask anyone to help, including the two of you. As soon as he said this, Uncle Jiu's face changed and he immediately spoke. The difficulty of the task has increased. Why haven't we ever heard of it? Qianhe also followed suit and said, we're not allowed to help yet. Zhang Mo hasn't officially joined Maoshan to learn Taoism yet. Senior brother, aren't you harming him? Watching the two of them getting angry, Shi Jian didn't let go at all. Of course you haven't heard of it, because it was decided by me not long ago and hasn't been made public yet, but now you know. Moreover, it has been rumored from the outside world that Zhang Mo has a unique talent and carries a Qilin tattoo to suppress evil spirits. Is it possible that you lack confidence in your disciples? At this moment, Uncle Jiu's heart was filled with anger, but he didn't know how to speak. He was very certain that Shi Jian was deliberately targeting himself and others, but as of now, there was no way to change it. Who made him the senior brother of Maoshan to handle these affairs on behalf of the elders? Qianhe also frowned, but patted Uncle Jiu's shoulder and said, "Senior brother, let's first listen to what task senior brother has arranged for Zhang Mo." Although Jiu Shu was angry, he could only nod and said, "Senior brother, tell me what kind of tasks Zhang Mo needs to complete to join Maoshan." To be honest, Uncle Jiu still has a lot of confidence in himself as an obedient disciple. After all, he is the kid he grew up watching from a young age. Although I haven't officially entered cultivation yet, I have not given up on some techniques to deal with evil spirits in my daily life. Although not too strong, there is still no problem with some low-end monsters. Not to mention that my disciple has a Qilin tattoo on his back, and his blood naturally has a suppressive effect on evil spirits. As long as it's not too outrageous, it should be no problem. On the other hand, Zhang Mo remained silent throughout the conversation, but his eyes kept scrutinizing the sinister-looking Shi Jian. Although he had no expression on his face, he couldn't help but sneer inwardly. Sure enough, Shi Jian's heart was filled with fickleness. If nothing unexpected happened next, the task he gave himself would definitely scare silly Uncle Jiu and Qianhe. After all, he longed for his own death. How could he possibly get rid of ordinary evil creatures? As expected, the next second, when Shi Jian revealed the task assigned to Zhang Mo, both Qianhe and Jiu Shu were completely enraged. I saw Shi Jian with a playful expression on his face, without hiding that he was making things difficult for Zhang Mo. Actually, the task for your disciple to join Maoshan is also very simple. I heard there is a red-robed fire ghost outside the Great Wall. As long as you can successfully eliminate it without anyone's help, you can become a disciple of Maoshan. And not only can you successfully become a disciple of Maoshan, but I can also take the initiative on behalf of the elders, allowing you to watch freely in the Maoshan Sutra Pavilion. You can do any kind of cultivation, how about it? As soon as Zhang Mo said this, he didn't react much and Uncle Jiu exploded directly. Red-robed fire ghost. Shi Jian, do you want my disciple to die? It's not possible. If you don't want him to enter Maoshan, just say it directly, there's no need to be so vicious. Uncle Jiu was so excited that he didn't even call his senior brother anymore. He directly called Shi Jian's real name, as if he was about to tear his face at any time. Even Qianhe stood up and said with a hint of anger, "Senior brother, are you going too far? This task is too demanding, it's asking Zhang Mo to feed a tiger with himself." Both of them are already well-known Taoists, and have long heard of some notorious evil spirits in the world. And this red-robed fire ghost exactly one of them. The red-robed fire ghost has been raging outside the Great Wall for a long time, even heard of in the Central Plains. It can be considered a very powerful and fierce ghost. In terms of strength, they are stronger than the century-old fierce ghost who opened the chest and pierced the stomach of Shi Shaojian before. Such a powerful ghost is extremely dangerous even for an ordinary master to deal with. To put it bluntly, even Uncle Jiu and Qianhe himself cannot guarantee that they will be able to take down the red-robed fire ghost unscathed. But Shi Jian wants Zhang Mo to deal with the red-robed fire ghost without any help. Isn't this a clear indication that he wants to be sent to death? If he can directly kill the red-robed fire ghost, why bother joining Maoshan, and what other Taoist techniques do he need to learn? I estimate that most martial arts sects can grab it and kill such a terrifying ghost before even stepping into cultivation. Such a demon genius hasn't produced a single one for hundreds of years. Uncle Jiu was extremely angry and glared angrily at Shi Jian. Even his usually good temper couldn't help but want to take action against him at this moment. Although it is important for Zhang Mo to enter Maoshan, revitalizing his own lineage is equally important. However, the prerequisite is to let his disciples die. He absolutely does not allow this matter, and it is no big deal to leave with Zhang Mo. Teaching him how to learn Taoism is the same. In summary, he will never allow Zhang Mo to be harmed and killed by Shi Jian. This matter is absolutely unacceptable. The red-robed fire ghost dare not even face his inner disciples easily. You asked my disciple to take him, this is deliberate harm to him. I'm going to find the elder and let him preside over justice. Listening to Uncle Jiu's slightly threatening words, Shi Jian calmly picked up the tea on the table and took a sip before continuing to speak. Fengjiao Jr. brother, that's a big mistake. If you think the task is too difficult, you can refuse to let Zhang Mo learn from Maoshan and just give up. What harm am I doing to him? Your words may sound a bit unpleasant, right? Moreover, the elders don't like to be disturbed. They are all practicing in seclusion now, so you probably won't be able to find them to uphold justice for you. Shi Jian was able to ensure that all the elders of the inner gate were staying in seclusion and staying in the middle of the inner gate. Uncle Jiu and the others couldn't find him, which is why he dared to make things so openly difficult for a few people. You. Uncle Jiu trembled all over with energy. Even Qianhe, who has always had a good temper, couldn't help but clench his fists. What Shi Jian did was too much. The atmosphere between the three became incredibly delicate, with swords and crossbows in tension, as if there was a possibility of a fight at any moment. At this moment, Zhang Mo, who had been silent beside him, spoke up that I feel confident in completing this task. As soon as these words were spoken, Jiushu and Qianhe were stunned for a moment. Even Shi Jian, who had been wearing a sinister smile all along, was stunned for a moment. Obviously, he didn't expect Zhang Mo to say such things. Chapter 10 is full of danger, 10 deaths without life. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What are you saying? Uncle Jiu looked at Zhang Mo incredulously, even suspecting if he had heard the wrong thing. Zhang Mo said seriously, Master, I said I can accept this task and go outside the Great Wall to eliminate the red-robed fire ghost. Once again confirmed, Uncle Jiu's mouth twitched directly. He didn't expect that he, as a master, was still arguing with Shi Jian, and Zhang Mo, as an apprentice, just agreed to it. He really doesn't know how terrifying the red-robe fire ghost is, does he? This is a desperate panic. Qianhe also quickly covered Zhang Mo's mouth and anxiously explained. Martial nephew, do you know what kind of ghost the red-robe fire ghost is? It is a fierce ghost with over 100 years of Taoist practice, and people below the 5th level of the Earth Master dare not easily face it. Without waiting for Qianhe to finish speaking, Zhang Mo smiled bitterly and said, Qianhe senior uncle, Master, I have heard of the name of the red-robe fire ghost. Have you ever heard of it and dared to agree? Uncle Jiu's voice rose 8 degrees directly. At this moment, he doubted whether his disciple was crazy. After being stunned, Shi Jian spoke directly, with an uncontrollable joy on his face. Okay, that's what you said. If you can't subdue the red-robe fire ghost, you can't worship Maoshan. If it weren't for Uncle Jiu and a few others here, he couldn't help but jump up with joy. How does this kid have such a long head? He actually agreed. This is the red-robed fire ghost. There can't be anyone to help. With his strength, besides seeking death, there can be a second way out. For a moment, Shi Jian couldn't even distinguish whether Zhang Mo was really foolish or fake foolish. If he really died at the hands of the red-robed fire ghost, not only would he avenge himself, but also Uncle Jiu, who is a master, cannot blame himself. After all, this matter was promised by himself. Judging from the notorious performance of the red-robed fire ghost, he couldn't even imagine how tragic Zhang Mo would die in the future. As for why Zhang Mo dared to agree, it's not that he wants to join Maoshan, in fact, he has no intention of joining Maoshan at all. Even though I am very interested in Maoshan Taoism, I have not yet decided to learn it. Everything depends on Uncle Jiu's hard work for me. I don't want him to continue arguing with Shi Jian. Isn't he just a red-robed fire ghost? I can handle it on my own. After all, they are not aware that I am no longer a rookie who has not entered the cultivation stage. But rather, it is a genuine land teacher, and due to the Zhang family's bloodline and Qi body source, one's own strength cannot be measured by a normal state. It is said that the combat power unleashed by the Earth Division may be as strong as the Earth Division's 4 or 5, or even higher. Not to mention that I have another ace in the game, which is to restrain the spirit and send generals. The red-robed fire ghost, no matter how it is said, is a fierce ghost. As a soul-type evil, it is naturally restrained by the spirit sending generals. This is the true confidence of oneself to dare to take on this task. In addition, the red-robed fire ghost is indeed powerful, and hundreds of years of Taoist practice have made him extremely terrifying among the fierce ghosts. If I could use the spirit detention dispatch to subdue him this time, it would be a powerful assistance. It's time to recruit some helpers now that I have been in control of the Lingshuan general for so long. Looking at the smug expression on Shi Jian's face, as if he had succeeded in his scheme, Zhang Mo couldn't help but sneer in his heart without any expression. How powerful this old boy is now, how foolish he will be when the time comes. He can't wait to see Shi Jian's face when he returns. You are also allowed to observe Maoshan Taoism at will. To be honest, Maoshan Taoism also has a considerable attraction for oneself. Although I have already acquired 8 unique skills, the abundance of skills does not overwhelm me. Maoshan Taoism also has its own uniqueness, and the divine side is even more outstanding. If one can learn it, it is also a decent trump card. Although Zhang Mo agreed, Jiu and Qianhe on the side still refused. They are not clear about Zhang Mo's realm and bottom card, so in their eyes, they completely feel that this trip is dangerous, almost lifeless. No, this matter is absolutely not possible. The red-robed fire ghost has long been famous outside the Great Wall, and ordinary Taoists can only walk around. How could you have bumped into it so directly? If you die, what should I do? Yeah, just listen to your master. There's no need to rush to join Maoshan. My senior brother and I can still go find the elder. There's no need to risk ourselves like this. In summary, this matter cannot be discussed. Please stay at Maoshan with peace of mind. If it were an ordinary evil, it would be fine. But this is the red-robed fire ghost, and I cannot let you take such a risk. Uncle Jiu and Qianhe tried their best to dissuade him, especially Uncle Jiu, who rarely showed an ugly expression and looked like a strict teacher. But seeing their appearance, Zhang Mo smiled and felt a warmth in his heart. He knew that the more they tried to dissuade him, the more he cared about himself and didn't want to take risks with himself. However, for this mission, I am determined to achieve it, just a mere red-robe fire ghost, and I don't feel too stressed. Let alone Zhang Mo couldn't help but believe that Shi Jian and his son's revenge against him was nothing more than this. With their cruel personalities, they were afraid of putting themselves to death, and it was the kind that could be as tragic as it was. The mission of the red-robe fire ghost this time may just be a cover-up, and there are some hidden backers waiting for me. If you don't take it on yourself, how can you bring out their true colors and solve them all at once? I don't want 2 venomous snakes staring at me in the dark all the time. Being able to solve it early is naturally excellent. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.